All right, everyone. So we're going to continue on here with Chapter 15, Part 1, and then right into Chapter 15, Part 2, which will bring us to the end of the Warrior Starter Course. Now, in this chapter, we're going to talk about day trading as a business, the learning path, and what's next. And Part 1 is committing to spend 3 months sim trading and treating it like real money. And so in this first part of Chapter 15, I'm going to break down for you a basic, simple trading plan. This is not a trading plan that I would expect you to be putting real money behind, but something you can use as sort of a template to get started and to practice in a simulator. We're going to go through a set of trading rules, create the trading plan. We'll talk about becoming more disciplined in following your plan, using a daily morning pre-trading checklist, steps to improve your emotional composure, recognizing FOMO, creating your workspace, and some words of wisdom. Now, let's start with a couple of words of wisdom. This is Sean Achor, who is a New York Times bestselling author. One of his books is called The Happiness Advantage, which is a book that I listened to on audio tape, which I thought was good. But this is another book that he wrote, and he's narrating here. And let me just play this for you with just the sort of introduction that he's a researcher and he's a writer, and he writes about helping you finding success in your life and happiness in your life, and how intertwined success and happiness are. The author's name is Sean, S-H-A-W-N, Achor, A-C-H-O-R. And this is from his book called Big Potential, but the other one is The Happiness Advantage. So let me play this for you, and I think this will speak to all of you as you are pursuing this this kind of big goal of learning how to trade. And there will be moments where you have the opportunity to support others. And part of success is that success is not something that happens isolated in a bubble all by yourself. Being part of a community and giving back to the community is part of that success.
The key to real leadership is inspiring others to be leaders. The key to good parenting and strong relationships is helping to bring out the best in the people we love. The key to true happiness is finding joy in helping others become happier. And the key to achieving your highest potential starts by helping others achieve theirs. I want that for Leo, and I want that for you too. It all starts with asking the bigger questions. How do I expand my influence in an interconnected world? How am I impacting others with my life and my energy? How do I raise my potential by making others better? I will argue that if you're not asking these questions, your potential is limited and your success will be short-lived.
To me, one of the things that is so important is the community that we have here. And while it's true that this has become a larger community over the years, one of the reasons I wanted to create this community was because I wanted to surround myself with people that were equally motivated, passionate, and driven to learn the secrets of the market and to try to find success in this crazy thing of day trading. You guys all share that passion. Inevitably, there have been times, as the sort of head moderator and trader of this community, where people have come in who are very negative people, they're not supporting one another. They're either too competitive, they're not friendly, or whatever the issue is. They always assume someone else is out to get them and things like that. And some people are wired that way. For those that are wired that way, I hope that maybe through this class, you could consider the opportunity to sort of look at things from another perspective, in that your success and someone else's success can be your success. And so for me, trying to inspire you to be the best person you can be, trying to inspire you to try your very hardest to learn this, even if full-time day trading doesn't become your thing, but through everything you've learned, through giving it your all, you've gotten as much out of this as you possibly can, and that can only help you as you continue to grow as a person. The ability of some of our students who have become members of the 100K Club to want to start giving back and supporting others in their search for success will only make them more successful themselves. Sometimes we feel this competitive nature that, I don't want to help other people, because if I help other people, I'm giving them my secrets. And there have been times where people say, Ross, if you were really so successful, why would you teach? You would just keep all of this to yourself. In fact, teaching has made me more successful. Teaching and helping others, not only has it given me a tremendous sense of satisfaction and pride in my students who have become successful, which no doubt will not be everyone, but for those who have. But it has also forced me to articulate the nuances of my strategy and to learn my strategy almost as an outsider looking in, because that's what I have to do to be able to get you guys to really understand it. And so I didn't start teaching in a sort of like selfless or selfish act to just make myself better. I did this, I suppose, because I wanted to create a nice community of traders that shared my common goals and motivations, and I wanted to start supporting those students. And but as it's turned out, I could have been completely selfish in all of that, because helping all of you has made me better. And so I thank you guys for being part of this program, for being part of this curriculum, because of your confidence in me and wanting to learn this strategy allows me to continue to strengthen as a teacher and as a trader, both of which for me are very intertwined. It would be hard for me to do one without the other. I've sometimes thought, is there a time where I would say, the stress of trading is too much? Because it is stressful at times. We know that. And perhaps I could just say, you know what, I don't want to be so stressed out. I'd rather just sit back and maybe I'll just, just teach and not trade so much anymore. Or maybe I don't want to teach anymore. Maybe the teaching is the hard part. Maybe the pressure of so many people watching me while I'm trading is what makes it stressful. But then I keep coming back to how much joy this community brings me and how much I enjoy doing what I do. Even on the days that are not the easiest, I still really enjoy it. And I think that while there's a negative connotation around stress, I think that stress can actually be a fantastic motivator, and that stress can be harnessed to sort of get you, up and going and get you motivated. For me, when I started trading, one of the reasons that I moved back to Vermont was because I was having panic attacks. And for those that have had panic attacks, you know how debilitating and how just very intense they can be. And that was something that I struggled with in high school, and I was able to get through high school. They got a little bit better until my dad got sick when I was in college, and then they came back and they got a lot worse for about 10 years. I mean, I still have a problem with them. But when I moved back home to Vermont, I was essentially, I was capitulating to my anxiety. I was saying, I give up. I'm done. I'm not going to try to be successful anymore. I'm not going to try to compete at this level. I just accept that I'll never be that person. I'll never be a New York City business person. I'll never be successful. And so I moved back to Vermont and I started trading. And day trading for me gave me this hope that this is something that I can do within the confines of my house and in my comfort zone, my very small bubble. And so, as it turned out, this was a career that I took on. I had that stress that I needed to find a source of income that I could do within my current emotional state at that time. And this was it. And so, yes, there was stress of, if this doesn't work, how serious and how upsetting that could be. But part of that stress became the motivator to take it really seriously, to give it my all, to put in 110%. And there was still a chance it wouldn't work, but at least I would know I had really tried. And for me, I was very fortunate that I turned the corner in my trading. And I would attribute some of that to probably natural aptitude, some of that perhaps to just luck, and some of that to things like taking very disciplined notes on my trading and then being able to go back and look at that data and come to these conclusions about where I was actually making money. For traders out there that don't ever look at any of their metrics and are just like, I'm just losing money, there's sort of hard to know which way to go and what to do to get better. So having gone through that whole learning curve of learning how to trade pretty much the hard way through basically 2 years of trial and error, and then another couple years of sort of ramping the strategy up, and now I'm 10 years in, I can tell you that was not probably the easiest way to do it. And I'm glad that most of you will hopefully not have to go through that same level of trial and error. At least you have a strategy being put right in front of you, and you can either try to learn it the best you can and it works, or if it doesn't work, well, at least you've learned a lot about the market from it. But you're not just trying to reinvent the wheel. So in this chapter, as we come to the end of the small cap day trading course, we are going to start to lay out some of the rules for trading. And So creating a set of rules is important. And I'm going to say that there are times where I will not be following these rules that I'm laying out for you right now. These are the type of rules that I think are very important for a beginner, just like following a recipe is very important for a beginner chef. But at a certain point, you will probably feel comfortable deviating a little bit away from the very strict, rigid confines of these types of rules. However, even for me, there are times where deviating away from the rules ends up being a mistake. I regret it, and I have to come back sort of to my core of what I know works. But a trading plan isn't a plan without a set of rules. Just like a trade isn't a trade without knowing your max loss and your profit targets. If you don't know your max loss and your profit targets, that's a gamble, not a trade. You're gambling, you're not trading. So as part of the trading plan, setting a max loss per day is definitely important. And as I said previously, I would set that at about your daily goal. So 5,000 is probably not adequate. That's probably way, way too much. That's probably not appropriate for you. These are mine. Well, this was mine for a colder market. In fact, during a hotter market, my max loss has gone up to about 20,000. I've had days where I've lost 15, 18,000 and then finished the day up 15 or 18,000 because in these volatile markets, the P&L can swing that much and I can still keep trading. If I have 3 losers in a row, I generally would say, all right, you're starting to go off the rails here a little bit. You need to dial it back in, or maybe you need to actually just, you just need to stop trading for the day. Number 3, I remind myself not to trade large cap stocks. And I'll tell you that watching something like GME for me is a real exercise because I want to jump in. I could have jumped in, here, here, and here. And I could jump in here for the break over 25. And gosh, this thing with the army of Reddit traders behind it, the social media website, which is where everyone is talking about how this is going to go to $1,000. You've got a whole army of traders behind this that are just buying it and buying it. But it's not really my cup of tea. It's not my risk profile. And same with Tesla. And I've had times where I trade Tesla successfully and then I give back profit. And anytime I give back profit, I'm like, why are you doing this? This doesn't fit within your strategy. I could be a very successful trader if I always follow my strategy, or I could turn myself into a losing trader today if I stop trading what I'm good at and just start throwing darts at the wall. So as part of a basic trading plan, you need to have the rule, you need to understand what your strategy is, what your focus is, and then not trade anything outside it. And that sometimes means out of sight, out of mind, not even looking at what's happening over there. Although you may have days where something like GameStop is so much the focal point of traders that it means everything else is choppy. And if that's the case, then it just means that you're not going to have a lot of trades that day. And that's better than having losing trades. I try to avoid trading the third pullback, and I won't trade it at all if I'm not already green on the stock. I will occasionally trade the third pullback if I'm green, but generally I'll avoid it. I try to avoid buying after a third halt in a row going up if I'm not already well green on the stock. Punishment for breaking the rules? Well, this is a tough one. I am not good at enforcing these punishments on myself, I'll be honest. And part of that is because I would say right now I wouldn't say I'm trading without rules, so to speak, but I'm trading in a place right now where I give myself permission to break the rules, and I'll tell myself that, well, listen, man, you made $5 million last year. I think you know what you're doing. So if you're going to if you've had 3 red trades, you're going to take a fourth one, take a fourth one. So that's a consequence of success, that sometimes being successful will put you in a place where you feel like you kind of can just keep doing exactly what you're doing, even if you've had a few red days or red weeks or whatever the case is, because you've had all this success. But at a certain point, if you really are in a pretty big red streak, it is going to be time to start enforcing some of these rules and enforcing punishment for breaking the rules. Whatever that punishment is for you, it's something you don't like to do. It's something you easily can do. I'm not going to put out a punishment for myself that there's no way I'm going to be able to do it. So might as well not even, right now, if I said I'm going to swim for an hour, there's nowhere I can go swimming. It's winter. All the pools are closed because of COVID. So that's an impossible punishment. Running, okay, well, that's not super realistic right now because it's snowing today. So maybe I have to come up with another one, for this current market environment. You should create ones that make sense for you. Number 2, creating a basic trading plan. So a very basic trading plan. And again, this is just very basic, kind of back of the napkin. Number one, what time of day do you trade? 9:30 to 11:30, maybe 8:30 a.m. to 9:30, maybe 9:30 to 10. I don't know, but you choose the window where you're going to focus. I'm usually aggressive on my first 3 trades between 9:30 and 10 a.m., and I do sometimes obviously trade pre-market. This isn't really exactly my strategy right now. This is just kind of an outline of a basic plan. I trade stocks between 1 and 10. Okay, well, we would need to add more detail to that to really be a full trading plan, but as a basic plan, okay, that's fine. A more detailed plan would include the float, would include the type of catalyst you trade, would include the type of daily charts you trade, would include then your actual entries of what sub-strategies you trade to find your specific entries and exits. Bull flags, ABCD patterns, red to green moves, etc. I buy with 5 to 10,000 share starter size and go to 15 to 20,000 full size. Maybe you don't add. Maybe I take a starter size, I don't add, I just take profit with, profit target of 2 to 1. As soon as I get in, I set a 10-cent profit to sell half of it. Target percentage of success, 65, 75%. Only trade stocks on the Gap or Momo scanner. So if someone calls out a stock and says, hey, check this out, and it's not on one of the scanners, I will almost never trade it. Now, occasionally, if it's like an IPO or something like that, I might trade it because I might realize it's not on the scanners because there's a tech issue. But generally, I try to stay focused on getting ideas from the tools that I've spent a lot of time and money developing to find me good ideas. I don't go on Reddit forums to find ideas. I don't go on Yahoo Finance message boards to find trade ideas. I don't check my email for penny stock alerts to get trade ideas. I know my best ideas come from these tools that I've developed. The Gap scanner in the morning, the Momo scanner from 9:30 on. If I have 3 losses in a row or I'm down more than X amount on the day, I shut it down and walk away. I don't want to give back, of course, more than 1 day of profit. So, it's setting this kind of basic plan. Now, you can use this when you're trading in the simulator. You could start enforcing a basic trading plan like this today. There's no reason you can't. Getting into the more advanced strategy development will just add more depth to this plan, but this could be a good starting point. Now, again, success requires some discipline. So becoming disciplined in following your plan at first could be difficult, but being a successful trader, it does mean separating emotions from your trading decisions. It's hard to remove emotions entirely. We have these emotions and, they're going to happen, but can we separate the emotions from our trading decision? And can we acknowledge a time where perhaps our decisions are emotionally fueled? Because if we can identify those moments, then that can be the opportunity for us to kind of bypass that emotional potential hijack moment and spiral where we start doing things from a very emotionally fueled place. So being in some ways robotic and following your trading plan is key, that you don't deviate from it. You just follow the plan every day, day in, day out. And in that way, trading could become kind of boring. What creates the excitement in trading for me is taking risk, ultimately. Taking high-risk trades, knowing that they're within my strategy, but if they work, they could give me a big winner. That's the most excitement, but I have to stick within my trading strategy. Otherwise, that excitement is going to be replaced with disappointment and anger at unnecessary losses. And we know that the market is certainly driven by emotions of fear and greed. What we've seen on GameStop is no doubt a incredible example of that. Billions of dollars have been lost to the short side by big hedge funds as retail traders have congregated around a retail stock trading at a PE ratio of like 30 or 40 to 1 that has probably no fundamental business for being priced at $123 a share right now, given its average price over the last couple years has been around $10. But the market can be irrational longer than you can remain solvent. And that's a lesson that some short selling hedge funds are learning the hard way to the tune of $3 or $4 billion losses. Mind-boggling. So no one is immune from having momentary lapses in judgment when it comes to emotion. Why a hedge fund thought it was a good idea to take a huge short position on a stock with 140% short interest is beyond me. The reason a stock can have higher short interest than its outstanding float is because an institution, and we'll talk about this more in the pro class, but institutions can take a short position and then lend that short out to someone else. And so essentially you have multiple people with short exposure and they're all booking that they have a short position. So through that mechanism, you essentially have more shares that have been shorted out than are actually than the total float, which is certainly a little it's a kind of it's a ticking time bomb, I suppose, when that happens, and it can happen, and it has happened in this case. So instead of being another trader acting emotionally and buying, a stock at the very, very tippy top, I've got to wait for those trades to come to me. You will see some students in the classes and in the chat room who are 100K students or higher who are much more selective about their trading than I am. They may be in a place where they don't feel they can afford to take unnecessary risk, and so they take fewer trades. They take 1, 2, 3 trades a day. If they can make their $150, $200 or $500 or maybe a couple thousand, they're happy with that and they come back tomorrow and they do not overstay their welcome. So instead of being a trader that's acting emotionally, be the trader who reads the emotions of the market and learns to capitalize on them. And that's where you will thrive. That's where you'll start to buy when people are panicking, and you'll start to sell when things are just going totally crazy. Yes, we buy high, sell higher, but we can certainly do that in a way that's smart. Now, as part of my morning pre-trading checklist, I often will ask myself and others, did you eat well? Did you sleep well? Are you in a good mood? Do you have a stock that you think looks good this morning? If you do, what's the condition of the overall market? And have you printed out some A-quality setups and pinned them next to your computer? If the answer of all, based on the answers of all of the above, what is going to be your max share size for today? So eating well and sleeping well have a profound impact on your ability to make good decisions. Every single day while we're trading, we're forced to exercise willpower and restraint, to not jump in just anything that's moving, to be selective. So each day when we come into the market, we have a certain reserve, essentially, of willpower. And if you come in with only 2 hours of sleep, having not eaten well, you're already coming in with a half-empty tank of willpower. And it's not going to take much for things to go off the rails real quick. And you'll learn that through experience, but if you take it from me, you'll make sure you don't trade if you haven't eaten well and slept well. Now, it's not really like a dietary recommendation or anything like that. I mean, I think it's important to be healthy, but I think just not being on an empty stomach is important, probably more than anything. I mean, yeah, if you had a whole bag of Skittles right before you start trading, that might give you a little sugar high, which could give you some momentary energy to focus, and then you might crash off of that. So, but again, it's more just about eating, period, and then not coming in on an empty stomach. I know some people don't eat breakfast, and especially those on the West Coast who are getting up at 5:30, in the morning, 6 in the morning to trade, maybe too early to really eat. But, on the other hand, you want to make sure your brain is firing on all cylinders. Being honest with yourself about the strength of the market today, and if you have a stock that you like. So today I had a couple stocks I liked, and I did well, and I'm happy with that. But tomorrow I may come in, sit down, and there may not be anything on my gap scanner that I like. The two leading gappers may be high-priced stocks or penny stocks. They may not fit within any of my strategies, and then I would say, well, based on that, I don't know if I'm going to be able to trade anything. The condition of the market has been pretty hot these last few days, but I need a stock that looks good. And then having those A-quality setups around your desk, that gives you that opportunity to surround yourself with these sort of positive affirmations. This is what I focus on. This is what I focus on. And we start seeing things that are tempting but really don't fit within that. It's a reminder to leave that alone. Number 5, improving your emotional state of mind. So from our session with Ted and Diane, the importance of meditation, and exercise can also be a form of meditation. Both of these can be an opportunity to force yourself to experience some level of discomfort without caving in. And that's a critical skill to learn, because as a trader, for me to choose not to press the buy button on something can be uncomfortable. Let's think about that FOMO for a second. The fear of missing out. The quickest way to alleviate FOMO is to give into it. And so improving our emotional state of mind, improving our emotional strength and our emotional discipline, it will make us better people across the board. It'll make you a better person when there's someone on the airplane with a kid behind you that's kicking your seat, or has a kid that's screaming, or it's your own kid that's doing it. It'll make you a stronger person when you've got a flat tire in the rain, you've got to change your tire on the side of the road. Here's the reality of these situations. You have to go through it no matter what, so you might as well be in a good mood while you do it. if either way you have to ride on the airplane, there's no reason to spend the whole flight miserable. And so with trading, we're going to come in every single day. There's no reason it has to be a miserable process of being angry and frustrated and wrestling with our emotions. So learning to embrace those feelings. If I feel angry, I feel frustrated, and sometimes I do, and I'll say that out loud. I say, okay, I'm feeling frustrated right now. I'm feeling upset. This isn't going my way. I got to walk away, and that's okay. It's okay to articulate that. It's okay to say that. It's okay to feel that way. But it's good to be at least in touch with that's what's happening, and not just continuing to spiral in this sort of emotional trading cycle where emotions are getting higher and higher and bigger and bigger and bigger. When I lost $150,000 over the course of 2 weeks, I was like, you know what I really need right now? I need about a week of space between me and this super emotional bubble that I'm in, where I'm just trading aggressively and getting more and more angry. And I need that time for me to kind of decompress and for things to cool off. Time is what will heal that. And so I said, well, given that I need that time, the worst thing that could happen is I come back that Monday morning, I have another red day. Because then the benefit of the 2-day weekend, which was the beginning of kind of starting to let things simmer down, immediately on Monday morning, I'd be right back to where I was on Friday, furious. So I said, given the fact that I still have a 30% chance of finishing the day red, if maybe 7 out of 10 days are green, since there's still a good likelihood that I'm going to be red, I need to start to manage my emotions a little bit here, and I need to set my max size at 2,000 shares. So if I do have a red day, at least it's a small red day, and it's not like capitulating that loss is making it bigger, 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 and bigger. And then that Monday was green, and then Tuesday was green, and then Wednesday was green, and then I started to feel a little bit more confidence, and I was like, okay, now you can start to size up a little bit more, and now I've got over a week between me and those losses. But I had to do it the right way, and I had to guard my emotional state of mind, and I had to be very protective of that emotional state and not put myself in a position that would jeopardize it. Which sometimes when you're in that position, it means that you will not fully capitalize on the opportunities in the market, and it's because you right now can't afford to because of some of the decisions and mistakes that you may have already made. And that's just what it is. That's unfortunately the reality of when you're in that place. But using the Headspace app, which I use a lot, is a great opportunity just to practice that. Just to practice your mindfulness, your ability to be present and to recognize emotions as they come in and thoughts as they come in, and to let them go and let them come back in and let them go and let them come back in and let them go. And that's all it is. It's letting them come back in and clearing your mind and seeing how long can I keep my mind clear for. And then a thought comes in and you let it go. And you just keep doing that. And even if you're only doing that for 2 minutes, they have these quick little meditation apps or meditation. This one's 3 minutes long.
So just taking a moment to
You guys
pause,
know this guy's voice.
Be still, eyes open, soft focus.
It's 3 minutes long. And see if you can do that. 3 minutes. Can you carve 3 minutes out of your morning? That's that's on the app. It's they have a section called like SOS, like emergency meditation. So it's under SOS, and I just clicked any of them. There's feeling overwhelmed, burned out, panicking, losing temper, flustered, in pain. But they're all 3 minutes long. So they're just nice, quick little meditations that just, gives me a chance to kind of get centered. Now, I will be more disciplined about, maintaining these practices when I'm in a place of heightened emotional stress and I feel like I need to kind of bring it down. When I'm on a really nice hot streak and things are going really well, I tend to kind of drop those routines and just kind of, I don't feel that I am needing them. They would probably help me if I stuck with it, but for whatever reason, life gets in the way and I sort of will drop it. But then once I come back into a rut, I'll bring back these tools. So each one of these tools, whether it's, using the piece of tape to hide my P&L, or it's meditating every morning, or it's going for a jog in the afternoon, or riding my bike, these are all coping mechanisms essentially that I have developed to help me get through the difficult times with trading and get through to the other side. And so you may be in a place for your first 6 months where you're having to do that every single day because you're trying to turn the corner. And you will be a better person for it from everything that you put into it. I guarantee that. I mean, it's only going to help you. So when we talk about FOMO, that fear of missing out, as you know from our session with Ted and Diane, it's real. It's a real feeling, and the behavior that can follow that feeling is real behavior, and the losses can be real losses. I do not want to allow FOMO to hijack my trading. We are all capable of trading with our logical, calm, cool, collected minds, and we're fully capable of trading with our emotional minds. Guess which one is going to be more consistent? It's going to be your logical mind. There's no question about it. So being calm, cool, and collected is the state of mind that you want to be in when you're trading. It's okay if at times you're getting excited and things like that. You don't have to be like, catatonic, but you want to be in that analytical, focused part of your mind that is making good decisions. And if you find yourself slipping, there may be some triggers that you will notice in your trading. For me, a few triggers: if I hit my daily goal and then I lose it all, that is a trigger for me. It's very upsetting for me to have my daily goal and then lose it all. It's actually worse for that to happen than for me to just go red right out of the gates at the open. Going red at the open is not as bad for me. If I go red at the open, I'm like, I was never green. Well, start digging myself out of the hole. But if I go green and then I give it all back and go red, that's very upsetting. And also upsetting is giving back even just half my goal, not even going all the way to red. Because then I feel a sense of loss and I'm trying to get it back. So that's one of the reasons that avoiding looking at my P&L while I'm trading can be helpful, especially if I'm feeling that those emotions are picking up. And they can be picking up for any reason. It may not be because of the market. It may be because of my own things happening in life. So some emotional red flags: if you're feeling a rush of adrenaline, that can alter your decision making. And so you might want to ask yourself, why am I feeling this rush of adrenaline? Is my share size too big? Am I taking too much risk? If I'm feeling angry, frustrated, if I'm wanting to break something, angry I'm losing money, angry at someone else that made more than me, any of those types of emotions, those are strong emotions. And if I let those take control, we can have a problem. So part of the meditation is having a mindfulness to be able to say, wow, I feel really angry right now, and being able to articulate that. They say that people who are crazy, they don't know they're crazy. I think that sometimes people that have problems with emotional regulation, they don't realize they're having that emotional regulation issue until like after the fact. So being able to develop that sense of mindfulness and awareness that, wow, okay, I am feeling really angry. My heart's pounding. I'm super frustrated. I can't believe that just happened. Okay, this is my cue to step back and walk away. And being able to take that cue from the market. Because I can tell you that for me, when I was getting started, if I would have a day where I would lose money and I wouldn't stop myself, I would keep trading and trading and trading until every single trade I was taking, I was using all of my buying power. I was going all in on every trade, being super aggressive. And that would usually end in a terrible, terrible red day. So I used to call those a snowball day. It's just a downward spiral. I'd take one loss, I'd get more angry. Then I'd take a bigger trade, a bigger loss, more angry. And so it's a feedback loop. And it's a negative one, because each trade, each sort of ring around that circle is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like getting out of control. And so on the flip side, we can have positive feedback loops where a series of consecutive winners instills confidence in yourself for making good decisions, which reinforces following the rules. So you want to keep following the rules and keep having good trades and keep making good decisions. And so it's kind of interesting how we can be on these positive feedback cycles or negative feedback cycles. And when you first get started, it's important to be very guarded on your emotional state and do everything possible to have to begin a positive feedback cycle. Because one of the things that I mentioned is sometimes a trader who's been trading in the simulator with 10,000 shares will set up their first trading account and jump into the first stock. Let's just for the heck of it. I don't know. I can't even take that many shares on this right here, but we'll see how many shares I can take. 130. So I'll go all in. All right, so I can only take 1,500. But let's just say beginner trader says, okay, I'm going all in. I'm going all in on this stock. And while maybe this goes to 135, maybe it goes back down to 120 and I'm down $10,000. And all of a sudden now my first day trading with real money, I've lost 10 grand. I'm scared. I'm frustrated. I've already put so much time into trading. How could this happen? I can't believe it. And then things start to really spiral quickly. So try to get things off to a good start emotionally if you can. And then when it comes to creating your workspace, creating a workspace that is calm, is peaceful, is separate from distractions and other things going on, that's really important. I do not do well when I try to, when like, you know, my wife and I travel with our kids, if I'm trading and, you know, I'm in one room trading of a hotel and they're all in the other, I find that to be very distracting. It's very, very hard for me to focus. I just feel like I can't possibly. So, you know, being mindful, am I in a place right now where I can be focused, where, you know, I can be calm, cool, collected, or do I have a lot of distractions and a lot of triggers around me, right? So, you know better than I do, but in my workspace, when I began trading, I created a quiet space in a guest bedroom, surrounded my workspace with printouts of bull flags and flat top breakouts, routinely updating those with the latest examples. I surrounded myself with visual cues of the setups that were working the best. I had printed out versions of my trading plan. I had sticky notes of important reminders, and even set timers for times of day when I needed to get out of my office and just be done for the rest of the day and not overstay my welcome. So, some words of wisdom. There's never been a profitable trader, you know, who doesn't lose at least 20 to 30% of the time, as far as I know. Most traders, you know, at best will be between 60 and 70% accurate. It's very common. So you shouldn't expect that you'll never lose. You will lose. You've got to get comfortable with experiencing loss, brushing it off, and bouncing back to the next trade. Live to trade another day. Never take a trade you can't bounce back from. Trade the best. Leave the rest. When the market's hot, you know it. It's just so much easier to trade in a hot market. When it's cold and it's just choppy, it's frustrating even for me. So when that's the case, it's a fine time to study. It's a fine time to trade in a simulator. It's an okay time to trade with real money with much smaller size. But taking big losses during a choppy market, it's like, why bother? Because the upside potential was limited. We weren't in a market that had huge upside potential. So why was I being so aggressive? And imagine if you could cap every loss you've ever taken at X amount. Maybe it's $1,000. Maybe it's $2,000. Maybe it's $3,000. You can. You can start setting max losses today on every trade you take. And you can have the discipline and choose to have the discipline to follow those rules. And if you're feeling stressed, walk away. Come back tomorrow. You can always come back tomorrow. The market will always be here. So you have to adapt the mental practice of a winning trader. Focus on being calm, cool, collected. If you find yourself getting emotional, stop. Block out social media. Don't spend your time comparing yourself to others. There's always someone out there, even for me, who's made more than you, who's more successful than you. When you're done trading for the day, turn off your trading platform and don't look at stocks for the rest of the day. When you've said you're done, don't come back. Because when you come back for that one last trade, you're coming back without a fresh kind of, you don't come back like recharged. You always come back emotionally charged, feeling FOMO from the opportunities you missed. Evaluate your performance. Create steps to keep improving. Keep 3 sticky notes at your desk. Red, orange, and green. And what's the strength of the market? Are we hot? Green. Green light. Keep trading. Are we kind of medium? Orange. Or is it cold? Red. Slow down. Go easy. I put those sticky notes on my monitor just to help remind me visually whether or not this is a time to be aggressive or this is a time to be more conservative. And a reminder, I said this early in the class, you are who you spend your time with. If you spend your time around people who are not driven, who may not care a lot about the same values as you, well, it's very common that you will conform to that group of people that you're around. I'd rather have you spend time around people who are motivated, driven, who want to succeed, some of whom are successful, and try to conform to that style and attitude. So the Warrior Trading family is about supporting your growth as a trader. Over the next 3, 6, 12 months and longer, you will be developing your skills. And once you're consistently profitable, we want you to have a role in the community as a verified profitable trader, where beginner traders start to look up to you. There's a quote by the Navy SEALs that individuals play the game, but teams beat the odds. You're not on your own. You've got a community of traders that are supporting you, that want to see you succeed. Okay, I want you to remember that. We do have to adapt to changing markets. The markets change. Sometimes what's hot one year is not hot the next, and we have to be willing to adapt and adjust our strategies to these changing markets. I'm perfectly happy to adapt and adjust my strategies When the markets are hot, I get more aggressive. When they're cold, I cool off, I ease off. I don't want to double down on a cold market. I want to be adding in a hot market. I have to be mindful of this. This is just part of being a good trader, is adapting to the market that's right in front of you. So trade the market you're in right now today, not the market that you want to be in. The market that you want to be in, the market doesn't care what you want. You got to trade what's right in front of you. Don't expect to be a pro overnight. It's not the way it works. Not for anyone who's ever found success. It's a learning curve, even for those that, the curve may be shorter. It's still a learning curve. So you have to make sure you are understanding that learning curve. You've got to have faith in the system. You're learning a strategy. You're learning a strategy that I trade every single day. Not that every single day is a green day. I want to see if you can actually trade my strategy profitably. If you can, then that's when you start to scale in and look at trading with real money. If you're not able to trade my strategy profitably, that could be because my strategy is not a good fit for you, for aptitude, risk tolerance, reasons like that. It may be because trading in general is not a good fit for you. It's also possible that it's just simply a tools issue. You're using the wrong software, you don't have a good internet connection, or you're not good on a computer. There's a lot of variables, but give yourself that time to learn. And if it turns out that it is a computer-related issue, you can certainly enroll in some extracurricular type of courses on improving your computer literacy. There's nothing wrong with that. It's whatever the obstacle is a question will be, how can I overcome this? Is this an obstacle that I can overcome, or is this a insurmountable obstacle? So if I told you right now that it's going to take you 1 year of studying and practicing, but then you could have a career that could potentially last a lifetime, would you want to still keep going? And that's not meant to be a guarantee that it'll only take a year or anything like that. I'm just saying out loud, in terms of your commitment, are you willing to put 6 months or a year into this? I generally would say that although there are some traders that do catch some beginner's luck, that is not the most common experience. The more common experience is losing money initially and then having to begin the slow and painful process of rebuilding their account. That's what's more common. All right, so you have to treat trading as a business. And one of the components of treating trading as a business is being able to sort of compartmentalize those losses. If you ever have been in a city, you see how many parking tickets UPS truck drivers and FedEx drivers have. Their windshields are just plastered with parking tickets, especially in New York City. It's just a cost of doing business. Losses for us are a cost of doing business. We have almost no overhead. We have very minimal monthly fees. For a business, for me, essentially of day trading that made me $5 million last year, my overhead, yes, I have commissions, and my commissions were probably like $400,000. So I did have commissions on the trades I took. That was about 10%, let's say, of my profit, 500 grand. And then I had what? My internet connection, some real-time market data, a couple $100 a month. That's impressive. But if we expanded that to include losses, then on every day you make money, you know that, okay, I'm making money for an inevitable red day that will come in the future, right? And so sometimes when we're just looking at that number going up and then it does come down, even if it's still relatively up over the last 6 weeks or whatever, there's that feeling of loss when really, that's just the company paying its American Express bill at the end of the week. That's just the cost of doing business. There's no way to trade without losses. And well, it looks like you took yours on a Thursday or Friday. It's the way it is. What can you do? You've just got to be able to brush it off. It's easier to brush off losses when they're smaller initially. And so that's why we trade with smaller size to start and then increasing share size as we increase confidence. That's the way to do it. All right, so with that, we're going to continue on with Chapter 15, Part 2, which is on the learning path and what comes next. All right, everyone, so we're going to finish up here with Chapter 15, Part 2, and this is the end of the starter course. So we've come to the end of the road, and I'll give you a nice little send-off here. This is 1989. 4th of July, Orchard Park, New York. Let's listen to it, and then let's break down the end here of Chapter 15 of the starter here. So I kind of want to lay out the roadmap of the new trader assessment and moving into the Warrior Pro class. Let's move this over here. Okay, so in this section, we're going to talk about staying focused on the end game, your magic number, and what's coming next, and what type of trader you are. So remember, you have two magic numbers, right? You've got the amount that you want to make, that you want to earn to make a living just from trading. Now, some of you, many of you, in fact, I'm sure, already have secondary sources of income. And those that don't already have secondary sources of income or multiple sources of income, I encourage you to try to find ways to diversify, to generate sources of income, whether it's, making, whatever. People have all kinds of niches. There's people out there that I started looking for a train set for my son, and there's some websites that have amazing amounts, huge amounts of information on different types of train sets that you can get. And for each one of those blogs, they have affiliate links, as you would imagine. And look at this GME ripping up here. Let's see if we get that breakthrough $150, because it looks like this thing wants to keep going. Boy, it's been, and it's flushing back down. We'll give it a chance. We'll see if it comes back up, because I think we're going to get that break of 150. So I'm going to put that there for students that have been hanging out watching. We've been keeping our eye on this. So I'm going to put my order there on this to add over 150. My goodness. Wild ride on GME. So let's see. And I'm going to set a stop on that so we can keep focused here. All right. So we'll leave that there. So just to quickly interject here, I took this 1,000 share position on GME while we were finishing chapter 15. GME ended up ripping up to $244 a share, then up to a high of $248, and I made about $46,000 on that trade after hours. Then this morning, I got up at 3:45 a.m. so I could trade the open, and I went long at 229 and rode the momentum here all the way up to 360. My trade in my main account, I bought 250 shares at 229 and sold half up $100 a share at 329.24. And I sold the rest at 300. And then in my main account, or that was in my main account. And then in my retirement account, I was actually up 128,000. And I then took a 3,000 share position on it. I can't actually remember, where was it? Now I'm trying, I think it was right here. It was right here that I took that 3,000 share position, and I lost 10 points on it, $30,000. I then tried to take a couple more trades on the break of volume weighted average price and lost another $5,000 once, and then a second time. So I've given back a little off the top, but this was definitely the right type of stock to be focusing on. Super feeding frenzy, short squeeze, crazy momentum, and I jumped on it, capitalized on it well, and rode that momentum. So, that's just an example of the momentum strategy and the fact that you can trade it after hours. You can trade it pre-market when there are stocks during those times that meet your criteria for being the right type of stock to trade as per Chapter 2 of the Warrior Pro class, or the Warrior Starter class, and that have the right patterns as per Chapter 5. All right, so let's get back into Chapter 15, Part 2. So, again, so with that, with the folks that have the train sets and things like that, they've got Amazon affiliate links and everything else. So, they have secondary sources of income from what they're doing, which is fantastic. I mean, that's awesome. So if you're able to do that for yourself, it's only going to position you to have less pressure on you to be successful just on trading. So you've got to set your goals and set the date that you want to arrive at those magic numbers, and then we got to get to work. So you're still at the very beginning of your journey, as I think you know. Let's keep the education going. So at the end of this section of the starter, I want you to do your new trader assessment, and we're going to use that to help us guide you into the Warrior Pro strategy. Because within the Warrior Pro classes, there's a number of different strategies that I trade. If you are a trader that moves a little bit slower, you're going to want to focus more on 5-minute time frames and things like that. If you're a trader that wants to move as quickly as me, you're going to want to focus on the 1-minute and even 10-second charts. So I want to help point you in the right direction so you can make the most of strategy development and really try to focus on the strategy that makes the most sense for you. So this is a market where you survive till you thrive. There's huge amounts of opportunity, but you got to keep your head above water. All right, so with that, I want you guys to do the new trader assessment, and when you jump on the learning path, you'll be able to continue right through the pro classes and really enjoy it. So I look forward to seeing you guys all in the pro classes, and students, we're teaching this live, so we'll be jumping right into the Warrior Pro classes coming up next. All right, I'll see you guys there.